All right, The Walking Dead 11B trailer just came out a few days ago, and might as well talk about it now and give my 11B expectations for The Walking Dead. So I gotta say, 11A, it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't kind of what I was wanting, and I feel like the diehard Walking Dead fans kind of feel the same way, right? Where they are not pushing the story far enough each episode. It's very slowly shuffling along like a walker, right? It's just barely going forward. And I know The Walking Dead's very guilty of doing this throughout the whole run of the show, but this is it. This is time to really just give it your all. Just blow it out of the water. Like let's go. Like this is it. This is the show's ending. You know, I know the Walking Dead universe isn't going to end, blah, blah, blah. The show is going bye-bye here in just 16 more episodes. So let's get to it. So we get the Commonwealth introduced in 11A and various other things like Alexandria starving yet again, and you know they're trying to survive and it's hard and blah blah blah, right? So 11B plays on that a little bit more. That's what I'm expecting. We see in the trailer that the main core of the group does make it to the Commonwealth, which if you read the comics, obviously that does happen, but I was surprised that they actually showed that in the trailer. To me, that's a good thing because it's like finally we're going to kind of quit messing around. We're going to get forward with the story here in the last 16 episodes or so. Stuff's going to finally start moving along where it should be. So I'm glad that they showed that. It shows, you know, some of them trying to adapt to the Commonwealth ways, you know, going back to how the world kind of was before it ended. It'll be interesting to see how certain characters interact with the Commonwealth world. Obviously, what's her name? Yumiko's girlfriend. I can't think of her name. They show her in the trailer being a waitress, her talking to Rosita, and them having kind of issues with being, you know, the wait staff in the Commonwealth, right? Where like Yumiko is like a lawyer or something, public defender. So she's, you know, a higher echelon person in the Commonwealth. You know, like where's Daryl going to fit in this? Where's Carol going to fit in this? Those type of people. Obviously, Daryl doesn't like to listen to anyone and he does his own thing. Think about like when they got to Alexandria. He wasn't about to even take a shower, right? He didn't even want to do anything with Alexandria. And Carol played the game, right? You know, she acted not like Carol the whole time. So it'll be interesting how they both kind of fall into the Commonwealth, and that'll be some interesting stuff to follow in 11B. But other expectations, I feel like, again, the group's gonna show up to the Commonwealth eventually. You know, there'll be some hard times to adapt. Eventually, most of them will to an extent. They'll finally bring some people of the Commonwealth kind of onto their side because they feel like the Commonwealth stuff is ran a little too tight and it's not really up to their par of like how they think the world should be ran. I think Daryl will eventually befriend Mercer and kind of get him to see the world how Daryl does, because at least Mercer has to deal with a lot of stuff that is in the world where, say, like the new governor Pamela Milton and those type of characters, they don't even realize that there's still zombies out in the world pretty much, and that the world is a very tough place to be in. Where Mercer at least kind of does, he does have, you know, a foot out in the world sometimes, but even then he's not, you know, full bore in the world like a Daryl, a Carol, a Rosita, those type of characters out just trying to survive. So I think Daryl will convince him to kind of join their side for whatever they may be planning. Maybe they'll plan a little bit of a coup to kind of take over. Very similar if you read the comic books. Spoiler, click off if you don't want to know. Kind of like how Rick did with Mercer and kind of got him on his side to like, hey, this is how the world really works. And if you want to have this place last for 100 years, let's say, this is how it's got to be, because how you're doing it ain't right, you know, and stuff just needs to change. So I think Daryl will be that character to convince Mercer and some other Commonwealth people to kind of come to their side. There's not going to be a war or a battle or anything like that, but just more of just a way of thinking and kind of take political power within the Commonwealth, right? I think that type of stuff we'll see in 11B. Obviously, hopefully we see some cool action stuff with walkers and also the stupid Reaper storyline. I hope that gets solved real quick in 11B. I hope Maggie just kills them all and it's just over. Maggie and Negan and Daryl just kill them all and it's not even an issue anymore because it's just dumb. I get what they're doing with it. It was fine to an extent. But if they drag it on for another 8 episodes, I'm going to rip my hair out. It needs to be done within no more than 4 episodes. That Reaper stuff needs to go. It has no place for the story they're trying to tell right now. It was pretty much filler. Let's be honest. I get that Daryl had a relationship with, I think Leah. Leah's her name. let's just call her Leah, the Reaper woman. And I get that they tied it back to 10C. You know, that's kind of cool. You know, they have a past and they're tied to one another here and there, right? But it was generally just filler. It was. They can kind of fill out the last 24 episodes that they had to make. 8 of them pretty much didn't really matter all that much, especially with the characters we actually care about, like Daryl and Carol, right? I know some made it to the Commonwealth, but even with that said, you know, Ezekiel and Eugene and Yumiko, some of them have been around a long time, but they're not, you know, the main core, right? The main core is pretty small now, but we want to see those other characters, the ones we've been with since like season 1, really do some stuff, you know. And just a lot of that stuff with the Reapers there some cool parts, of course, but other than that, it was a bit much for some filler. So I hope that gets solved within, honestly, the first episode of 11B, but at least within the first 4, just get it done, right? Just get it done. And let's just move on to bigger and better storylines. And before anyone puts down in the comments, do I think Rick Grimes is going to show up here in 11B? No, I don't think so. I don't think he's even going to show up in 11C. I feel like this show will have its own end, whatever that may be, and then eventually we'll get the Rick movies, and the Rick movies will end however they're going to end. I've talked about this before in a previous Walking Dead video. I can't tell you which one, I don't remember, but pretty much how I see The Walking Dead going, and like the Walking Dead universe as a whole for movies and shows right now, the show's going to end and have an ending however it's going to end. I don't know. And then the Rick movies are going to happen, and however those movies are going to end, say the third Rick movie, hopefully all 3 still actually happen, say the third one ends with him going to the Commonwealth, and you can have the people that are still alive in the show end up in the last movie, right? Even if it's multiple years down the road, you still can do that, you know. That's not an issue. You get what I'm saying? Like, just like how TNG was, right? Star Trek The Next Generation, right? TNG. The show had its own ending, and it ended, and you can just watch the show, never see the movies, and the show's great, and everything has an ending. But then the movies continue on from there. And that's how I see The Walking Dead doing this, right? In the show, and then you have the Rick movies, and you still can bring back the same characters and so forth, same locations, and in Rick's character within those movies, and see the other Walking Dead characters within those movies. Hopefully that comparison makes sense. That's the best way I can see it in my head. That's how I see it going. And you, of course, can bring in various other characters from the Walking Dead universe. I feel like they probably will do that in the Rick Grimes movies in some capacity. Probably Morgan, because why not at this point? And maybe some others, but who knows? Sorry for that long tangent, but that's how I really see that going. So other 11B expectations. Again, I think they're going to push the story forward finally, a good chunk, but there's still another 8 after 11B that they have to finish out the show with. So I think that last chunk will be the huge part of the end of the show. So this is just, of course, the mid ground. So we'll get going forward, and we'll see how some of the characters are treated, and how some of them will die, some of them will not make it to 11C. Now, do I have any death predictions for 11B? I don't know. I don't know if they won't save that for 11C. I know Ezekiel has a lot of issues right now, but I feel like he might be a person that gets saved due to the Commonwealth's technology and medicine resources and stuff. I know a lot of people are throwing out Father Gabriel as like a hot pick that is going to die here in the next 2 seasons, or I'm sorry, the next 2 slots of season 11 in B or C. And I can see that, you know, he's very much a changed character, right? But at the same time, who knows? The show is so much more different than the comic at this point. I honestly don't know who's going to die and who's going to live. I truly don't. I don't really honestly have any predictions right now who's going to die or live. Maybe they'll do something crazy and like kill Negan near the end of the show, but even like for 11B, he's not going anywhere. Speaking of Negan, it'll be interesting what they do with his character through 11B and 11C, because in the comic books, it gets treated a lot differently, and he's not as big of a character in the end of the comics, so it'll be real interesting to see what they do with that. But nonetheless, 11B should be good. The trailer was really promising. It felt a little bit more gritty. It felt a little bit more like the great times of The Walking Dead, and I'm excited to see what they got in store. Obviously, there's still going to be some frustrating things because it is The Walking Dead at this point, and that's just how they do things, and some great characters are still missing, so we'll just have to deal with that. It is what it is. Of course, if I truly wish Rick Grimes and Michonne shows up all of a sudden, that would be cool, but that's probably not going to happen. we got what we got right now. Hopefully the writing is tight and it's snappy and the story goes forward and it goes in the right direction to end the show well for 11C. But that's it right now. Those are kind of my expectations. Those are my thoughts, and I'm generally just hoping it's good. What are your thoughts and hopes for The Walking Dead Season 11B? Let me know down below in the comment section, and while you're down there, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. Until next time, guys, everyone have a great day. Thanks for watching.